Okay, so guys, like, I want to promote a subreddit that I made. Um, I've talked about it on the channel before, but I think it's okay to, remind people because, the last time I talked about it, I think my channel was probably still in the 600s, if not the 700s, and now we're in the 800s, so there's new people, we're growing, and I want that growth to be reflected in the subreddit as well, so, because in my subreddit I only have about, 40 members, and, it's r/glitterpunks. It's for, a, a, a fashion style slash subculture thing. I wouldn't call it an aesthetic. It's a subculture. There's more to it than that. Like if you read the about section of the subreddit, it talks about some of the ideology of glitterpunk. And some people, when I tell them about glitterpunk, they tell me that that already exists. Um, but I mean, from the research I've done, I haven't found evidence that anyone has ever really used that term before to describe a true subculture or aesthetic or anything like that. It maybe has happened, it probably has, but it's not a big enough thing for me to really say that I'm just reinventing something that was already there. It I think the reason why people say that it already exists is just because it seems so obvious that it should exist, but it doesn't. But it does now because I've made it. But it's glitterpunk is it's punk. It's not like steampunk where it just has punk as the name, but it doesn't have anything to do with punk. It's not like that. Glitterpunk is actually, you know, based off of just traditional punk things, but with a twist of being more feminine, traditionally speaking, but not soft necessarily, just I mean, but it can be, but just generally a little bit more femme, more makeup, more nail polish, more cute accessories, things like that. And glitter, of course, definitely. Um, it's very much important to the aesthetic aspect of it. Like when I talk about the aesthetic, I'm just literally talking about the aesthetic aspect of the subculture. It's yeah. So and being colorful, being bold, having bold, bright patterns instead of I think, cause see the reason that I made this subculture is it's a response to the sort of toxic masculinity and a little bit of ageism that's in punk. In when I go to r/punk, and I post pictures of the sort of things that I like to wear, I get a lot of hate, and I think a lot of it stems from me being um being younger, being feminine looking, when I post pictures that look feminine looking and stuff like that, um, even if on accident or whatever, I think that there is some prejudice there. A lot of it is mostly ageism. Like they are quite they are quite rude to younger punks because they assume that these punks don't have any kind of experience. The thing is that I mean punk runs in the family, for me. It's not just a random thing. I'm not just this I'm not like a middle class kid that just decided to rebel just for the sake of it and it's just a phase or anything like that. My dad has been in many punk bands. My sister is a goth. You know, my mom used to be interested in punk goth type stuff, it runs deep in my blood. So, it's like a real thing for me. I'm not saying that you can't be that way if it doesn't run in your family. That's not at all what I mean, but it's more I've truly been introduced to this by older punks and older alternative people. My sister, for example, she's twice my age. She's in her 30s, and she's goth, but I'm like, you know, she also has taught me a lot about alternative culture and history and stuff. So, you know, I'm knowledgeable about these things, and I get underestimated a lot in r/punk, and sometimes in r/punk fashion. Like, I basically never post on r/punk anymore, like, ever, and I never go on there because it's a very toxic place to me. Um, like, yeah, they're just real dicks, you know? And they can be that way on r/punk fashion too, but not quite as much, so I tend to post there a little bit. But Glitterpunks is a place to be bright and to not have all this, like, I think that often they'll reject punk outfits and punk fashion that has a lot of colors in it because it's like, I don't know, they just think it's not cool and stuff. Glitterpunk is also a lot about like queer stuff, like it is partially inspired by queercore, so you're gonna find a lot of like stuff that has pride colors and pride flags on it and things like that, you know, and a lot of DIY for sure. Like, this is certainly a very DIY oriented thing because of course, like, a lot of the stuff that I make is, well, I make it, you know, it's DIY. So there is a lot of that DIY fashion in there. And also there's a little bit of, it's not just clothing, there's also like an aspect of it with like just like edits. Like, there's a thing I've come up with, like glitterpunk edits, where it's like an aesthetic that I use to edit certain photos. I It's like the glitterpunk aesthetic when it comes to like non-fashion related things is just kind of surreal, bright colors, glitter, obviously, surrealism for sure. Like, I just said that, but I want to stress that it's like glitterpunk edits can look kind of like an acid trip or something. You know, they're very cool, in my opinion, and you know, just turning up the saturation really high, shit like that. Like the way that the website that I use to edit my glitterpunk videos or glitterpunk pictures is TuxP. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. They're not paying me to say this, but you know, TuxP, TuxPI. That is a place that I go to edit my photos to make them look glitterpunk. So if you wanna get in on that, then that might be one to use because it's completely free and fairly useful, at least for what I want to do. I don't have Photoshop or anything like that, so I just go on TuxP. Yeah. So, if you want to get in with Glitterpunk and you want to learn more about it, then check out that subculture on this fucking Reddit. Check out the subreddit, and I'll see you around. I'll put a link in the description so that you can join.